Welcome back to A Life in Chapters. I'm Alison, and here we talk about the things that make up a creative life: books, journaling, and building a business that supports the way you actually want to live. This is episode 23, A Creative Life That Pays for Itself. Today I want to begin opening up the business side of this podcast, but not with numbers and systems, with something softer: the idea of a creative life that pays for itself. A life where your creative work doesn't just sit in a drawer, but sustains you. A life where your ideas and projects not only give you joy, but also give you income. For me, that's what a creative business really is. So let's start with that phrase, creative business. What do I mean by it? It isn't painting or writing novels or music, although it could be any of those. A creative business is any kind of work that grows out of your creativity, your ideas, your problem solving, your way of expressing things, and turns that into something that helps other people and earns income. So it might be blogging, it might be running a YouTube channel, it might be selling art or printables online, it might be coaching, designing, podcasting, or creating courses. It might be a mix of products and services. The common thread isn't the format, it's that you are creating something that didn't exist before, and you're sharing it with the world in a way that supports you. That's why I think of a creative business as a life that pays for itself. For me, blogging has been the centre of that. I've been blogging since 2009, and alongside other projects, it has always been the thing that feels most fulfilling. I love the whole process, the keyword research. It feels like a puzzle, uncovering what people are actually searching for. I enjoy the writing, shaping a post and pressing publish, knowing it might help someone weeks, months, or even years later. I love the creativity, choosing images, crafting titles, experimenting with ways to make content engaging. And yes, the business side too, linking to products, sharing affiliate recommendations, building a reader base. It's endlessly satisfying. There's always something new to learn, and it feels like a living body of work. That combination of creativity and income is what makes blogging a true creative business for me. It's work I enjoy doing, and it supports my bigger vision for life. But what surprised me, and still excites me, is how that same love for blogging slowly expanded into other formats. For years, blogging was my main outlet. It was where I shared everything I knew, everything I'd learned, and all the experiments I was trying. But at some point, I realized that not everyone likes to read. Some people prefer to listen. They want to hear a voice. They want to feel that connection in a different way. And that's where podcasting came in, this podcast. When I started this podcast, it wasn't to replace blogging. It was to add another layer to it. Blogging had already shown me that I loved sharing knowledge. I love teaching, reflecting, connecting. But the written word can only go so far. With podcasting, I could speak directly to someone in their kitchen, on their morning walk, or during their commute. It felt like sitting down for a conversation rather than handing someone an article. And that's the beauty of creative business. You start with one format, the one that feels most natural to you. For me, it was blogging. For someone else, it might be video or design or art. Then, over time, you discover new ways to extend that same creativity. You don't abandon the first thing, you build on it. The podcast became a way to bring more of me into the work. My voice, my inflections, the little stories that might not make it into a polished blog post. It allowed me to share not just information, but atmosphere. And I think that's something people are craving. Not just tips and tricks, although they're important too, but the sense that they're not alone, that someone else out there is figuring this out too. Of course, podcasting is still part of my creative business. It feeds the same ecosystem. The blog posts, the podcast episodes, the products, they're all connected. Someone might find me through a blog post on Google, then start listening here, then decide to pick up a planner or join Patreon. It's all part of the same living system. But beyond business, podcasting has reminded me why I do this in the first place. Because I love to share knowledge. I love to take what I've learned through trial and error, through years of showing up online, and put it in a form that might shorten someone else's learning curve, or maybe just make them feel less alone. For me, blogging and podcasting are not separate things. They are two expressions of the same desire to create, to connect, and to build a life where creativity pays for itself. And that's the thing. Creative business doesn't look the same for everyone. For one person, it might mean designing jewelry. For another, it could be coaching people through a challenge that they themselves have already faced. For someone else, it's starting a YouTube channel and teaching what they know. For me, it's a mix of blogging, podcasting, and products. There isn't one right model. The right one is the one you'll actually enjoy enough to keep going. Because the secret isn't that creative businesses are easier. They still take work. The secret is that you're building something that feels worthwhile enough to sustain the effort. Creative businesses also don't have to be huge. They can start tiny. One blog, one printable, one coaching session, one painting sold. Each step proves that it's possible. Each little win builds belief. And over time, those small pieces compound. They form a body of work. They form a business, and they begin to pay for themselves. Now, I think creative businesses matter more than ever because they give people options. With the world feeling uncertain, with costs rising, with jobs less secure, having a creative business is a way of taking back some control. It's not just about money. It's about expression. It's about flexibility. It's about creating something that feels meaningful to you and then letting it support you. And that's why I wanted to begin this part of the podcast here, with the reminder that a creative business isn't just about hustling harder or chasing the biggest trend. It's about building something you can enjoy, something that matters, something that makes life feel more like yours. A creative life that pays for itself doesn't mean you never struggle. It doesn't mean every day is joyful or easy. But it does mean that you're building something that feeds you in more ways than one. It's about creating work you're proud of, sharing it with others, and letting it support the life you want. For me, that's books, journaling, and sharing about building a creative business. For you, it might look very different, but the principle is the same. Your creativity can carry you. If today's episode sparks something for you and you'd like to explore building your own creative business, I'd love to invite you to my Patreon. In the business tier, I share mini trainings, answer your questions, and give you behind-the-scenes insight into what I'm building. It's a way to support the podcast and also get extra guidance for your own journey. You'll find it at patreon.com/alifeinchapters. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back soon with another chapter. Until then, keep creating.